Hello, everybody. Welcome to State of Exile Podcast, Episode 8, Pulp Faction. It's called Pulp Faction because today we have with us Teddy NL, also known as Pulp. How you doing, man? How you feeling about this?
I'm pretty good, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem. Before we go into the introductions, I want to just talk about everybody I want to thank. So I want to thank Grinding Gear Games for supporting us time and again with this podcast. They gave us 10 microtransactions, 100-point packs, and we're going to be giving them away. Each streamer will be giving away 2 each, as well as 2 at the end of this podcast, so stay tuned for more on those. Thanks, Grinding Gear Games. I want to thank Twitch for allowing this to happen again on Twitch. Like all the other past episodes, they've been very supportive. I want to thank the mods and the viewers, keeping chat clean, and I want to thank the viewers for continually tuning in and supporting this podcast as well. And last, I want to thank Paranize for making the overlay that you guys see. Thank you again, Paranize. So we have a live Q&A session that's going to be done at the end of the podcast. Throughout this entire podcast, you guys can go ahead and put any questions that you would like to direct at your specific person that you want to have them answered by. Just put at Terry, at Pulp, and we'll be glad to answer as many as we can at the end of this podcast. So without further ado, let's begin this. My name is Zeno, also known as Ian. I'm just I don't know, I stream, I do a bunch of crazy builds, I'm really good at dying. I don't know, I like to have fun in this game. That's the most important thing to me. I really like the way the skill tree works, and I like to try and figure out as many new, unique builds as I can. Some successful, some not. How about you, Terry? You want to give a little bit about yourself?
Terry here. I'm a passionate and dedicated racer. I love to stream Path of Exile, stream races, and help out as much as I can in that department. I'm always up for sharing all my strategies, answering questions, and giving out tips. I just love to help out and give back as much as I can to the amazing community.
And then we have, of course, Hedgie here.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I love doing this podcast every 2 weeks, and I'm mainly known for pillar builds or stave builds, and I do a lot of YouTube videos about PoE, or mainly just about PoE. And I love sharing my thoughts and my criticisms on my stream on Twitch TV.
And of course we have Pulp.
What's up, guys? I'm Pulp. My Twitch is Teddy NL. I like to do endgame mostly. I don't really like racing personally, so usually the builds that I try to do are just as high as DPS as possible, which is also the reason why I like to go to standard occasionally.
So a little bit about today's overview. I'll be discussing mainly geared towards the new players. I want to discuss about effective passive tree nodes. What's efficient, what's good, what you should work towards. Terry today will be discussing his race sets, his race skill sets, and what he does when he races, and from his past experiences. Hedgie will be hosting our first, I guess you could say, like a pilot of a game we're going to play called Stump the Exile to test the knowledge of everybody here in this room. A bunch of trivia, some riddles. It's supposed to be more fun. And of course, if you guys want to play, by all means, play with us. And then Pulp here is going to discuss his success during the 2-week race. If you guys didn't know, he achieved level 98 in 2 weeks' time in a race, both ambush and invasion hybrid. I mean, a round of applause there. That's just insane. So he's going to discuss to you his 2-week race overview. So without further ado, Terry, go ahead and kick off your race skill sets.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about some racing skill sets, or what my take is on some racing skill sets. There's so many different factors that apply, from somebody's their skill going into a race. I won't be able to cover them all, but I'm just going to go over some important ones, or important ones that I found were relative to developing my racing skill set. And first up is time efficiency. So depending on the race, every race, all time matters. You want to use every minute possible to your best advantage. And for starters, you'll want to find a skill set or a combination that you're most comfortable with, or one that you want to be competitive with. And that's when you'll start to develop your racing skill set, whether or not it's with a set class and a combination. You just need your starting base. There'll always be a couple stronger builds, but they might not be stronger for you. So you got to kind of take a step back, see where your strengths and weaknesses are, and then either go to something that you favor or go to something that you want to develop and potentially get better at with that particular setup. So people have asked as well, which is the best race to start on? And my opinion on that is just to try to commit as much as possible, because you need to get as much experience. You need to put yourself in like tons of situations and just react differently and learn from your reaction. A big part of getting better at racing, I find, is noticing mistakes, is being able to admit that you made a mistake. And like that, it can be tough. It sounds like, I don't know, it might sound a bit silly, but like I'm even guilty for it, admitting that you made a mistake and that costed you your character's life, or it worsened your position. So reflection to me is critical, because you need to realize what all was a factor to putting yourself into a particular position, and what you did and what was the outcome. So what you did caused like the bad outcome, what you could have done to have a better outcome, or like things you can do next time to just not put yourself in that position in the first place. Like there's so many factors in a race. There's like monster like RNG for spawns, monster mods, just tons of factors, and you just need to keep playing and keep putting yourself into all these positions and see how you react, and just pay attention to how you reacted, whether or not you deem it was appropriately, or you're happy or unhappy with the outcome. You got to reflect and be able to admit that you messed up. So peeling off of noticing mistakes is that it takes a lot of time and practice to always react appropriately, and even then you'll be tested and you will still screw up. So like in a race, you might have done a recipe at the inappropriate time, or you might have accidentally like vendored the wrong item, you might have forgot to do something, and that's all like extra time you're gonna feel it when you need to farm, when like the time is most important. So
I have a
noticing
question.
mistakes. What's up?
I had a question. So these skill sets, are they universal to what class? Like, can you take your skill set with, being experienced ranger? Can you just go pick up another class and do well with it? Like,
I,
compete
I
at
would
the
say
highest level?
I would say for the most part, but if you're gonna be using like a different combination, that might throw you out of like your comfort zone, and then like going from spectral throw to say like flame blaster, you're gonna want to itemize differently, and like it's different casting flame blast and attacking with spectral throw. But for like a general skill set, I really think you can apply like learning from your mistakes, and like a general skill set of being able to see your actions and the recoil of your actions like happen before you, and process everything. That's where you're gonna learn the most, in my opinion, is I do this, it put me into this position, and then I died, or like I came ahead. So I really feel like being pressured and being put in like a position where you're not most comfortable and coming out on top is where players will like, they'll feel great. Obviously it feels so good to put yourself in a bad position and come out on top. It's like, hell yeah.
Well,
Feels good.
Terry, I did a 3 hour party race, and me, I'm a complete rookie. I just learned so much, playing with you. I didn't know that once you kill Brutus, just log out, log back in, and you have the waypoint. I had no idea about that. Simple little things like that, comes with the experience or watching streams.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I mean,
It definitely takes.
I got carried
What's up?
freaking 10th place by you guys, but when I do it solo, I'm happy if I get like 20th, So I think that, I don't know, for the most part, like I've tried doing a physical shadow, using spectral throw, mule with spectral throw, and I've also tried doing caster, and I feel that obviously there's just completely different recipes you use, different things you buy at the start that determine, your true skill set in what experience I have had this season. I mean, do you keep notes of your different skill sets over time per class or physical spell?
Uh, yeah, I would like, I don't have actual notes down, but it's definitely good to pay attention to like what other people are using for like a class specific, or pay attention to like how others are doing their procedures, whether or not it's like your render recipes or your questing route. It's all just going to take a long time and a lot of practice to like fine tune these skills, and just to know like as fast as possible, this drops, okay, now I can do this, I can go there and do this. you just really need to put yourself in endless situations. Like, there's so many possibilities for like a situation, and the outcome in a race, like you're always going to be thrown in different situations, and the outcome will be dependent on how your reaction is. So you need to just put in the time and learn from your reaction and learn from your decision making. And another very big factor is monster detail. This to me is extremely important to a racer's skill set. Is seeing like a magic pack or rare monster, seeing monsters all over the place, and knowing when to attack, when to run. And one thing that is key in races is rare monsters and their mods itself. Knowing when should I fight this rare monster or mouse over that rare monster and run away. So obviously, if you're like an elemental caster or like an attacker, and they have defensive stats that counter your build, like armored, extra life, resists elemental damage, or resist elemental, you'll generally want to skip these monsters, especially like if it's gonna maybe double your time that it takes to kill them. Energy shield is another big time consumer, like fighting a rare energy shield monster or energy shield monsters themselves. This is everything that you want to take into account. Like I see this rare monster ahead. How many extra attacks is it going to take to kill him with like armored and extra life? And is it really worth the investment for the experience or for like the drop potential? And
How do you
like
feel about
all that
regen?
time, yeah, regen is really nasty too, especially if like the situation you can't consistently hit the monster and you have to like back off to heal or like back off just for whatever other reason, that they're just going to regenerate your damage. So a lot of the time, like skipping regen monsters, an extra defense monster can prove to be like very crucial. And one thing that almost like kills me so many times in races is volatile, and especially in endless ledge where you don't have a lot of room to get away from these monsters. So just a quick mouse over to double check like the rare monster mods, the magic monster mods, like that can add up to like another 5 minutes in your desired farm zone, like whether or not you're farming docks or chambers. And for the most part, that's like a whole nother level in that 5 minutes. So for monster detail, like rule of thumb I follow is lately I'm skipping most energy shield monsters and rare monsters that buff the ES around them, unless you can just like do away with them normally. I would definitely advise on skipping those rare monsters.
How about blue packs? What do
Another,
you do for blue packs? Is it the same kind of premise? Because obviously blue packs usually have two mods, but some have
yeah.
like a base, a implicit mod, if you will. Like most golems have resist lightning, or humanoids have
If
resist chaos. How do you take them into account?
if you're like a fire damage, like fire trap, flame blast, and they resist like fire or resist elemental, if it's gonna, I would say like double or up to triple your time, it can be worth it if it's like a fair sized pack. But if they're all over the place, say it's like three magic monsters and they resist fire, I would maybe skip them, because like one monster in most case for a magic is like 3 to 1 for XP. So if you think about it, if you're gonna spend like more than 3 times as much time killing the magic monsters, the time invested is, it might not be worth like the XP gained if you keep into like account how much XP you're going to actually get into how much time you're putting into actually killing the monster.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah, and so the next major skill set I'm going to talk about would be gauging damage. And gauging damage is extremely important because one of the main reasons is you can minimize your downtime, minimize the amount of time you run up to a monster and you have to back off, whether or not you need to back off to heal or it's like you just get smashed and you almost die right away. So knowing your character's defensive stats is very, very crucial, and even outside of racing. Like, how do you guys feel gauging damage? Like, how important is it to like a hardcore player?
Like, I don't know. For me, like the number one thing I'm always concerned with is my resist, and sometimes I get really lackadaisical. I press C, go to defense, and I'm not at cap. Screw it, I'll go anyways, and then end up dying. But to me, the most important thing is just being cap res, like always.
Yeah,
Yeah,
resistances are
fire and
definitely
lightning
the big
resist
part.
are really important.
Yep.
That shock, you can get shocked so fast, and then that triple shock, the unexpected burst damage, like your character just pops. So for gauging damage, one thing in races is you're going to have to get resistances for certain areas. And to me, the trade-off is generally going to be from life to res, and it's a good trade-off because you're going to be taking less damage, so you'll have less health overall, but you take less damage. The damage, it's mitigated more, so it's reduced. It's a lot more manageable with your life pots. So you take less damage, and you can just heal up that damage a lot quicker, as opposed to having more life, getting hit harder, and then having to heal more life. So resistance is like extremely important in in taking damage in a race, and the only way to know how much your character can take is really from experience. You need to go with run through chambers with 1 or 2 lightning res rings, get cursed, get hit, and just take into account the gap in damage that you take. The difference between 30 lightning res and 0 whenever you get conductivity on you can really make the difference between 1 or 2 attacks killing you or being able to run through a whole pack of monsters completely fine.
Now, here's something.
Go ahead, Edgy.
I also think that this gets overlooked a lot, but I feel like attack speed is defense, not because it does more damage, but mainly it provides you mobility, like the ability to dish out your weapon and then book it. Stutter step is going to make you dodge like a bunch of projectiles or micro your way away from the melee dude instead of just outright taking the damage because you're too slow to throw it.
And it also attack speed gives you, the typical saying the best defense is a good offense kind of thing, and more life on hit. If you actually have a little bit of life on hit on gear,
kill it before it kills you.
Yup.
Yeah, the attack speed is good, and if you're doing physical damage, during a race, there's a good chance you're going to be stunning them on hit as well. So, to gauge damage, you just need to put in the time, practice, get hurt. There will be times where you do die. I mean, I've died instantly in chambers multiple times just from getting shocked, even with 1 or 2 lightning res rings. Just it happens. So you can still miscall the incoming damage. And for outgoing, like Hedgie was talking about, being able to attack and move, outgoing damage and knowing precisely how many attacks or casts it takes can be extremely helpful. Like when I run past monsters and I attack with Spectral Throw, say my first 2 attacks take them below half health, well, it's safe to assume that on the way back, those 2 attacks are going to finish off the monster. So I can attack twice and then just run off the screen. And by the time they die, I'm already 1 or 2 screens away. I'm already fighting the next monsters. So being confident in your character's output and knowledgeable of your attacks or the cast needed, that can save you so much time, and it can save you so many wasted attacks for just attack in the air or attacks after the monster dies themselves. Just being able to get to the next monster quicker or progress quicker in the end.
And attack speed
just
gloves.
To sum that up, yeah, those attack speed gloves so helpful in a race. So to gauge your incoming and outgoing damage for a 1-hour race, I would just, if you want to practice, you can practice and race to chambers on your own, but just keep in mind your character's evasion, armor, and resistances for how much damage you can actually take. Do you guys have any questions on that incoming or outgoing damage for a race?
Yeah, I have a question. Scion was played a lot, and it's still played, a decent amount, but not as much as it was last season. Obviously, they got a little bit of a nerf. Do you still see a lot in Descent champions? Do you think that Scions in a typical 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour party or solo, just because of their early resistance, is it worth it? You lose a lot of damage, but you get a lot of the defense ability. Is it worth it in a race? Other than Descent
for
champions?
A race, I think that's going to be up to the person and how comfortable they are taking damage. If you're comfortable dropping low, I would say you can go ahead and spec more damage early on. But if you don't like those close calls, you don't like being at 10% too often, it's safe to go with more resistance just to minimize the amount of downtime from backing off that you have to do, because all that time it really adds up fast. It's very, very noticeable. For most races I don't wear a chest a lot of the time, but when I know that I'm going to be getting hit a lot, I'll throw on a chest just so I can run into monsters more, and in the end take more hits, just so I can stand there and attack and not have to run around more.
Makes sense. Wait. Anybody else have any other questions about skill sets or anything? No?
No,
Sounds good. I don't really race personally, so you know.
You got anything else, Terry?
No, that's all good.
All right. Well, now that we're talking, I guess I'll just kick off in my segment. My segment today is going to be discussing efficiency within the skill tree. I feel when I first started playing this game, you press P, you get your first level, you hit the little plus sign, and you're just like, what am I looking at? A lot of players, they're always asking, well, what's a good node? What's a good build? Instead of focusing on the build, I think you really need to focus on efficiency in the tree. I think this is something you learn, while you're playing the game a lot. But in your mind, you just tell yourself, the basics. For me, if a node doesn't equal up to 4% attack speed, or for instance, if it's a hybrid node, there's 4% attack speed, 12% physical. I think these are like the baseline efficient. Anything less than that I consider inefficient. But if they're hybrid, for example, you can have 6% physical, 2% attack speed, and that equals, if you times that by 2, it'd be 4% attack speed, 12% physical. So it's just something you have to remember when you're going for builds. Now, I'm not saying you should always beeline to them. I'm saying when you're choosing your specs, you go for those medium-sized keystones or those big keystones that you want to get. For instance, if you're what would be a good example? If you're playing a Templar, you want discipline and training. Why? Because it gives 10% increased maximum life and it gives 30 flat life. That's a huge node. Are the nodes leading up to discipline and training efficient? Well, you could either go through the area of effect nodes, which are somewhat efficient, but not depending on the spec you're playing. But if you're not playing an area of effect build, it's not worth going through there. You would have to go through the Armor ES hybrid wheel, which would be a little bit more inefficient early game because the fact that you have to spend points on scaling your armor and energy shield when you really don't have that much at that level. So it's things like that you have to consider. You might be better off getting Purity of Flesh, the 18% life node, which is also in the Templar tree. It's slightly up more to the north, but along the way, there might be more things that are better suited to your spec. So that's number one. When you're playing a spec, find a big keystone or node on the tree that you want to aim for, and then make your points leading up to it efficient. I have a list here of a bunch of things that I consider efficient in the tree. Let me read it off. Okay, so 8% life is the baseline efficient. If it's 6% life by itself, it's inefficient. And the tree, it's the Scion life wheel. It has a bunch of those. There is a 10% life in there. So if you're going down to, like, let's say Berserking or Val Pact, you can actually pick up the 6% and the 10% life. You add them together, that's 16 divided by 2, 8%. Those two nodes then become efficient, and they're worth getting. The 6% aren't bad if you're going to Path of the Warrior, because Path of the Warrior is a very good node. It's just you have to ask yourself, is it worth getting this early? Are there better options for me at this time? Something you always have to consider when you're making a node. Regeneration is a kind of funny one, because 0.4% life regen is extremely inefficient, but some builds like Righteous Fire require them. Where other builds, you're just like, I don't think it's worth getting. There's 2.4% nodes near Golem's Blood in the Duelist tree, which is just a flat 1.5% regeneration that most builds don't get, but they'll definitely get pick up Golem's Blood. For me, in order for regeneration to be considered efficient, it has to equal about 0.5%. There's a bunch of 1% nodes in the tree, and if you're getting a 1% node, you have to make sure that on the way to them, you're getting some bang for your buck. And the Duelist tree, it has life with it. Has a 12% life node and 8% life node. That's extremely efficient. And then it goes right to Master of Arena, which is amazing for melee builds. Things like this, you have to continually remind yourself, hey, is it worth going out of my way to get these? Absolutely. But then there's some instances like the node Fencing. Fencing is in the Ranger tree, and it gives you 24% flat physical, which is really good, and it only takes 2 points to get there. Before Fencing is a 3% attack speed node, and this attack speed node, it's not 4%, it's 3. It's not the most efficient, but if you take the 2 points together, you add them up, divide by 2, it'll give you 12% physical damage and 1.5% attack speed. This is better than your baseline of efficient, just 12% physical. So yes, it's worth getting. Maybe it's not worth rushing to get, but it's absolutely worth getting. When you're going through these trees, it's very important to, you spend as little points to get there as possible. Generally speaking, on the outside of the skill tree, there is a button, just like mainly in the ranger side of the tree and the marauder side of the tree. If you just go right up the sides, it's 3 or 4 points to get to the next area. Maybe 4 dex points from the ranger tree to the shadow tree, if that, 3 points. And it's the same thing to get up to the left side of the tree to Templar. These are great paths to take because it's little points. You're not spending a ton of points on stats that you already have, and you're getting to your bigger clusters faster.
So when we're talking efficiency, we're surely talking about where cost has no factor, right?
Correct.
Because if you wanted to make a build that was grab and go, like pick up a weapon and it's like a universal node, like a melee damage or increased melee damage or strength nodes, like what are your thoughts on building efficiency based on being universal, like the grab and grow type thing where you're not having to spec into like 7 or 8 different axe nodes and stuff like that?
Okay, so that's actually a really good question. If you know your build is better suited for swords, you don't want to pick up sword nodes right away. Same thing with axes and whatnot. However, there are some sword nodes you would want to still pick up because even if you know you're going into swords later. For instance, from the duelist to the marauder tree, Hedgie, right near Iron Grip, there is 2 sword nodes that give 12% physical damage with swords and 6% life. If you know that you're absolutely going swords, you could pick those 2 up because you're still getting life out of it, and then when you transition, you're actually getting more damage at the same time. It's very rare cases where you go out of your way for that. But like you said, you would, if you're playing like a one-handed sword build, it's great to pick up the one-handed damage nodes, the increased melee damage nodes, and then you could stray into your specific weapon spec when you're ready for it, unless there's like just some, really, really good node. If it gives you like 8% attack speed and, damage, specific to swords, you don't want to rush it until you're ready for it. Most of the stuff I've been talking about has just been life and physical damage. I want to talk a little bit more about spell damage. Spell damage is one of the hardest things to determine efficient because you need them regardless. For instance, in the witch tree for the longest time, you had 8% spell damage and recently buffed to 10. You would still pick these up just because there's not enough spell damage on the tree, I feel. However, cast speed, with the recent changes to cast speed of the tree in the past 4-month league, before if it was 3% cast speed, I would pick it up no matter what. But now with all these 4% everywhere, you have to rethink yourself. In the shadow tree, there's a node called nimbleness, and it gives 6% cast speed. Before that, there's 2 3%. If you total them up, it's 3 points spent for 12% cast speed. However, in the shadow and the witch tree now, you can get 3-4% passively now. So nimbleness got kind of like a stealth nerf. Before you would always beeline for it, but now it's like I can get it whenever I need to because it doesn't lead to anything else. So the baseline for me for cast speed is 4% now. And I don't know, do you guys have any questions about what you consider efficient or disagreements?
I got a question.
Go ahead, Terry.
How would you recommend like a new player go about prioritizing their passives?
Prioritizing. All right. I'm one of those people, if I know I'm playing a life build, and if I'm going by life, see life, get life. That's just how I am. If it's efficient, get it. It'll pay off in the long run. If you spend a little bit more time to kill a monster and you're leveling, but you're safer, it's worth it. Even if you're in soft core, because you're saving time in terms of experience. Experience loss is far worse than maybe efficiency in killing the monster. Damage will come time with gear. You can get so much damage on gear that it's better suited for you to get those life nodes.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like you always go for defense first, and then damage. You get the efficient damage nodes, and then when you're ready to drop other defenses, then you, like, through gear. I feel like a lot of the damage you can get just through gearing and itemization and getting the gear to do the work for you, but there are some extremely efficient nodes on the tree that they're too good to not get. as you're traveling around and
Oh,
picking
yeah.
up these life and resists. But I wanted to ask, what do you consider the most inefficient, most
Uh,
annoying nodes, the nodes that are just collecting dust?
all right. In the middle, there's two areas that I've been thoroughly disappointed with. Not, constructive criticism here. In between the in between the Marauder and the Templar tree, there is there's four staff nodes that give hybrid physical damage and accuracy, and they're just poorly placed. And right near them is um, reduced mana on skills. And near that is this one-handed wheel that I think is just the most disappointing wheel. It offers 3% attack speed, crit multiplier, physical damage, and then I think crit chance. Something that's just like completely... Oh, no, it's accuracy, just flat accuracy, not crit chance. And I look at those four, and I'm just like, why would I ever use those? Like, I'm not going to go out of my way for them. I have to spend a bunch of points on strength or int to get there. And then they would do barely anything for me. There's no big life or big node in there that I would go after. And then the second one is in the Ranger tree all the way to the right, where it has the only, not the only, they're almost the worst melee physical damage nodes in the game, and they're 8%. There's two 8% leading up to, I think, a 24% or a 20%. And it's just a really clunky wheel. People don't even know it exists half the time. And the last one is the 6% melee damage nodes in the Scion tree. The Scion starting area is just... You just want to get out of there ASAP. There's a few good ones. You think about the 18 res all, and you're like, oh man, I need this. And then you see 6% increased melee, and you're like, why? I'm never going to get those.
So are there any nodes that you feel are extremely efficient, but they're untouched because there are no items that are out there, like to warrant its worth?
Yeah, I forgot what it's called. It's Path of the something. It's the Dex version in the Scion tree. That accuracy projectile damage node is actually pretty good.
Okay.
Path of the Hunter. But it's paired up with a 3 accuracy node wheel coming from Scion, and then the other way is just 10% evasion. So you're like, I am never going to get this. That's how I feel. Things like that. I mean, Pulp, do you have any idea? Like, are there any things in the tree you just look at it and you're just like, why is that there? It needs some work.
It's mostly the staff nodes, I'd say.
Yeah.
If they
Yeah, I
rework the
feel
staff
like-
nodes, then people can start making more viable builds with them.
Oh,
Really, I feel like if the items existed, then it would make because the nodes are actually stellar, like the crit staff nodes or like the pure brutality, that whole blunt trauma, and even serpent stance. But there's just no good staves on the market. There's like you can't find a staff that has good physical or good attack damage with local crit. It's like
And
the
attack
stars
speed.
have to align, and attack speed. Like
Yeah.
that's just
It's probably
it's-
because staff is the hardest item in game to roll.
you know what's one of the best
It has all
nodes?
the mods.
Galvanic Hammer. It offers a ton of increased physical, ton of wed, and then on the way there it's like crit multiplier, and you're like, oh my, please. I'm not picking that up. What else is there? My least favorite wheel in the game. I can't believe I forgot about this. I have a feeling we're going to get a rework with Witch, so I'm not going to harp on it too much, but Gemini. The dual-wield wand node in the Witch tree.
yeah.
It's physical damage and accuracy, and I'm just like, I don't know why I would get that.
Just to even go up there, taking a lot of int nodes that you can. There's much better pathing.
I mean, there's only like one instance where I can ever think of dual-wielding wands, and that'd probably be Void Battery. Like, dual-wielding those just for all the bonus damage from power charges.
Mm-hmm. Is that all you have for us today?
That's
Wonder
it.
Attacker.
I guess you could do that too, Terry. Yeah, but that's all I really have. It's just important when you're speccing into a class to pick up. Think of a big node that you want to pick up. You're like, I really want to go out of my way for this block node. On leading up to the block node, is it efficient? Would you get more out of going to another node that's not as good as this block node? You can be like, well, there's more life going up to this block node than this one, so I'm going to go this way. Or I know I need Eldritch Battery now, but should I pick up the life and mana nodes along the way? Yeah, probably, because you're going to be going Eldritch Battery soon. Things like that you should definitely do. That's all I have. So
Actually, there's a correction. Gemini is any weapon, not just wands.
Well, it's any weapon, but it's in the witch tree, which it's near all the wand nodes. So if you're dual wielding, there's no way in heck you're going to be picking up Gemini unless you're dual wielding wands. Now, let's be honest. I guess you could be a dual wield shadow, but there's still no way you're going out there to pick that node up.
Yeah, it's way out of the way.
So, any other questions before we kick it off, Hedgie?
Not that I had.
Let's do
It's
this.
probably a
Okay.
good hint as well for the new players that if you're trying to connect to like the bottom or all the way the other side of the tree, they made these high roads, is what you call them, like through the life nodes or the ES nodes or the evasion nodes, where you can connect easy to like Iron Reflex, for example. And on the way there's a lot of life nodes as well that you can get.
Good call. Going through, in the Scion wheel, there is an ES wheel, there is a evasion wheel, and a life wheel. If you go the short path through those, the little half arc, it's those are the high roads he's talking about, and you can, it helps out your build.
Yeah, that's usually what the end game players do because it saves a lot of points.
Yeah, if you go EB, always go through that ES, pick up the life and mana along the way. So, let's kick this off. Today, we're going to try something new here, and if it's a great success, we might even do it more often outside of the podcast, so that's a head up. It's called Stump the Exile, and it's literally just that. Hedgie here will be the host of the game show, and he has come up with a total of 18 trivia questions for us and 13 riddles. And the way how the trivia round works is everybody is eligible to answer the question. We just have a set time limit. We're all going to write down on a piece of paper our answer, and when he says show it, we're all going to show it up to our camera. Each question is worth a certain amount of set points, and Uber Elite in chat will be keeping track of that. The riddles, however, the first person to guess it right gets the point value. However, once they guess in the riddle and they are wrong, they do not get it. They're not able to guess again. The way how it works is Hedgie will be reading a few lines in the riddle. And if we haven't figured out what the item is by then, he'll read a fourth, and then a fifth, and a sixth, until nobody figures out, or until we get a correct answer.
Or if they all guess incorrectly, then I will reveal the answer.
That's it. And really, it's just fun because whoever wins today will be the champion of Stump the Exile. And next time we do this, their name's going to be up on a little leaderboard I'm going to put right here. And next crew gets a chance to try and beat them. So without further ado, Hedgie, you ready to do this? Everyone ready?
Yeah, this is just an example of what the riddle would be like. This one is, when you use me, I must be wielded with two hands. When you equip me, I can have more friends. And the idea of this riddle is it's Queen's Decree because it's a two-handed sword that allows you to have more minions. All right, so I'm going to start with let's start with an easy one. This one is actually an analogy. Alteration is to fusing as Orb of Chance is to what?
Are we just saying this one out or writing it down?
Yeah, whoever gets it first.
We're saying it aloud, right? Not writing it down.
I'm going to repeat it, yeah. Alteration is to fusing. Orb of Chance is to what? Come on, guys.
I'm ready.
Okay, so are you writing this down, or are we saying it?
No, you're just saying it.
Oh, regret.
Okay, it's a scarring.
Regret.
Yeah, it's a regret orb. It's because alteration turns into a jeweler's, which is one process. And then that jeweler turns into a fusing, and then same thing with the Orb of Chance. Orb of Chance turns into Scours, and Scours turn into a regret. Very nice. Ian gets 1 point.
America right there. Represent.
All right, here's a 2-pointer. I am mighty when held by the strongest fighters. Wield me and get very unlucky. Do not train with me, or you will find your journey very slow. What am I?
Marohi?
I am mighty. Say that?
Voidhome.
Marohi?
Oh, yeah, it is Voidhome. Very good. Zeno gets 2 points. It's mighty because it's a two-handed weapon. Wield, unlucky is the minus rarity. And the do not train with me or you'll find your journey very slow. That is reduced experience. All right, so here's a 3-pointer. A lot of you guys should get this one. I am both nimble and quick. I can be used by the novice and even the most experienced. Equip me and feel the heavy hits.
Tabula
What
rasa.
am I? That is incorrect.
Could you repeat the first little bit
Yeah,
of that?
I am both nimble and quick. I can be used by the novice and even the most experienced. Equip me and feel the heavy hits. I'll give you the fourth line. I'll help you shatter, shock, ignite some foes with these mitts.
That's tough.
You got Pulp is he's gonna shoot himself in the foot if he doesn't get this one.
Maligaros?
You guys, what'd you say?
Maligaros?
Yes, they are Maligaros. Nimble and quick.
Nice.
Attack speed and dex. Novice and the most experienced. That means the highest levels and the lowest levels. It's like level 21 gloves. Equip me and feel the heavy hits. And then the Shatter, Shock, Ignite. Those are all affected by crits.
See, when I heard heavy hits, I thought you take heavy hits, and everybody can wear tabula rasa. But fair enough.
I was thinking Quill Rain till heavy hits.
All right, so Pulp gets 3 points. Oh, please award that man. All right, the next one.
How many?
Fastest
What's
blue.
the point value for this one?
This one is a 2-pointer. Fastest blue, resistant red, swift the feet, quantity instead. Fastest blue, resistant red, swift the feet, quantity instead. This one's a pretty easy one.
Goldworm?
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, Goldworm. That's very good. 2 points for Pulp.
Dang, Pulp, you're not supposed to
Yeah,
be catching
buddy.
up.
Oh, my name on
Okay,
that
this
wall.
one's get too close, get away. Get too close, oh, the damage you'll pay. Added fire from range. Agility and speed brings the arrow today. I feel like I know who's going to win this one. Get too close, get away. Get too close, oh, the damage you'll pay. Added fire from range.
Chinsol.
Very good. 3 points for Zeno. I knew Zeno was going to get that one. He's all about that. Get too close, get away. That's the knockback. And then the increased damage at close range. Very, very good. Okay, this one's a 1-pointer. Find the blue, exchange for gray. Once more, another gray. Combine with the finest gear, and it may be your lucky day. What am I?
Chance Orb.
Chance?
Nope.
Ooh, Pulp gets free reign.
Free reign. I'll give Pulp 15 seconds. Find the blue, exchange for gray. Once more, another gray. Combined with the finest gear, and it may be your lucky day.
Need a
5 seconds. Give you a hint. It's found at the
Let's
vendor.
get the next.
Okay, it's Orba fusing. Wow, I thought that was going to be an easy one. Okay, so the
Wait,
next one.
hold up. Just in case people were wondering, there is a stream delay, so we cannot read chat at all during this.
Yeah, this is not helping them with chat. Okay, so the next one is the 3-pointer. All three, you should get this one. Bring the magic and never fear. Take a bunch of attacks and end up in tears. Buff in the art of magic, helping you with your map clears. What am I? This one is an item, a unique item.
You think you can repeat that?
Bring the magic and never fear. Take a bunch of attacks and end up in tears. Buff in the art of magic, helping you with your map clears.
That's
This is a piece of armor.
Was it about the tears?
Take a bunch of attacks.
Attacks.
That's the key word, attacks.
Take more damage.
All right, you guys got 5 more seconds.
I'm just gonna say that new Queen of the Forest chest, but I have no idea.
Ray's QT actually got it. The item is Saffel's frame.
Saffel's frame. Makes sense.
Oh yeah, tax.
Yep.
Good call.
Okay,
Wow, we
this one's a
stink.
1-pointer. Good one for Ray's QT, I guess. Earn your green, share the faster clean. Earn your blue, the damage is due. Earn your red, toughen your friends so they don't go dead. What is this?
Earn your red.
This is
What's the green
I'll
again?
read it one more time. Earn your green, share the faster clean. Earn your blue, the damage is due. Earn your red, toughen your friends so they don't go dead.
Charges?
Can I get another answer?
Uh,
That's close.
frenzy, power, and endurance charges.
Conduit?
Yeah.
Conduit.
There you go.
Oh,
Conduit.
come on.
Oh,
Come on.
thank you very
Repeat
much.
that question, man.
All right, here's another
Boo.
one. Some say I am the win. Some even say I am a game-breaking deal. When you use me, don't forget my friends. My nickname these days is Skill.
Aegis.
Oh, Terry with the 2-pointer.
Terry's got one. He's on the board.
All right, here's another one. I am rare, but not the rarest. I have many faces and can be found in many races. I go up and down and go from town to town. What am I? I am rare, but not the rarest. I have
Exalted
many
orb.
faces and can be found in some races.
Exalted orb.
I go up. What?
Exalted orb.
Yep. Exalted Orb. 2 points for Xenocide. Add it up.
Nice.
Add it up. All right, this one's a little bit rougher. This is a 2-pointer. Taxing on your life, but you're due for some good luck. Moving through everything impervious to any stun. What am I?
Unwavering stance.
Lionized boots?
Nope, wrong. And Terry's got
Can
the
you say
floor.
that again,
15
please?
seconds. Taxing on your life, but you're due for some good luck. Move through everything impervious to any stun.
Combs roots.
No, the
Yeah, we're
answer
not really
was
taxing on
Eye
your
of
life.
Cheula.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
That was a good one.
yeah.
All right, here's
Zoning
another
ribbon.
one. We got 2 more riddles. I turn your green into red. Some of your agility removes its bonuses instead. Pick me up at early levels and you probably won't end up dead. It's a 2-pointer.
Read that again.
I turn your green into red. Some of your agility removes its bonuses instead.
Iron
Or all of your
reflexes.
agility.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. 2 points. Add it up. All right. This is the last riddle. I have no holes, nor will I ever. Stick with me, and we can trump life together.
Combs breastplate.
Oh, I didn't even read the last 2. That's the baller status right there. +1. That was a 1-pointer. All right. Now we're gonna move into our write it on a piece of paper and show everybody. I'll request that that they show it up at the same time, so there's no cheating. The first one is how much total player chaos resist can be found on the tree. And I just want the percentage. I don't need the names of the nodes. You just write down the percentage of chaos resist that can be found for the player. And you guys have 5 more seconds.
How much total, right?
Yeah. Okay. Add it up and show them up in 3.
Hold on,
2.
I'm not done. There's so much.
idea.
Xeno's a little slow at math.
I got it.
All right. Hold them up, boys. Hold them up. 32 from Pulp, 30 from Terry, and the answer is 45.
Oh!
Oh, Xeno was the closest. It's 45%. Method to Madness. The nodes near Method to Madness, the chaos damage. That one's the sneaky one.
Yep.
Clear Mind, and Purity of Flesh.
What are they? 3, 8, and 8, or is it 3
Sevens.
7s?
Yeah.
I bet did 3, 8, and
Yeah.
8.
Okay, so how much total shock chance can be found on the tree? I just want the percentage this time. Don't need the names of the nodes.
I'm good.
All right. Good, good, good. All right. Hold them up in 3, 2, 1. We got 20%, 23%.
That's
Or is that
25.
25? The answer is 25.
Yeah.
It's static blows and 5% from shock in
From
the
the
shadow
shadow
tree.
tree. So me and Terry each get, what, a point?
That's 2 points. That's a
All right.
2-pointer.
Me and
The first
Terry
one
each
is a
get 2.
3-pointer, but nobody got it. All right, the next one is a 1-pointer. How much total evasion, percent evasion can be found on the Scion evasion wheel? How much total percentage evasion can be found in the Scion evasion wheel, assuming you get all of them? All right, hold them up in 5, 3, 2, 1. Let's see it. Everybody's wrong. It's 100%.
Really?
It's
Wow.
10 times
So
7
close.
plus 30. 70%
Oh, it's
plus
one
30.
off.
I thought there was
One note.
5 in there. Huh.
All right. This one's a 3-pointer for everybody. What is the percent of less mana reserved on Mortal Conviction? It is the node after Blood Magic. How much percent less
Done.
is it? All right, hold them up in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. What does yours say, Pulp? The answer is 40. Yeah, everyone gets 3 points for that.
Wow, really? That was a 3-pointer?
That was the
I
easiest
figured.
one.
Yeah.
I figured people don't even look at that because they're just like, nah. All right, here's a 2-pointer. How much attack speed does the Berserking Wheel near Duelist Scion give you in total? How much attack speed percentage does the Berserking Wheel near Duelist Scion give you in total? All right, hold them up.
Second guessing myself. Go on.
18 is the correct answer.
It used to be 21.
Terry, I thought you were going to get that one for
yeah.
sure.
It used to be
You know?
21. I did write
Okay.
21 originally. Then I remembered it got nerfed.
All right, here's the next one.
Yeah. 3.
2-pointer. What is the local crit chance on an imbued wand? What is the local crit chance on an imbued wand?
If I get this wrong, then I'll be embarrassed.
Yeah, Pulp, you should get this one right. All right, hold them up.
A little late there, Terry.
Oh, mine's wrong.
9.28. Oh, nice try, Terry. Nice try. For effort. All right, this one's a hard one. This one's a 3-pointer. I'm guessing only Pulp will get this one. What is the implicit crit variance on a Harbinger bow? What is the range from low to high?
Let's see if I'm right. This is a shot in the dark.
Not readable.
Yeah, I'm
All
guessing
right, hold
this
them up
one
in
as
3, 2, 1. 30 to 50 is the correct answer.
Oh, Terry killing us.
Terry is the only one that got it right.
The drill neck ranger.
That's 3 points
the
for
top-
Terry.
to the top.
High five, Terry.
Okay, this one's a 3-pointer. How many items can you wear will have a mod increase experience gain? It's how many items you can wear that have the mod increase experience gain. All right, hold them up in 3, 2, 1.
I was thinking for dual.
Terry wins again.
Damn,
It's
Terry.
5.
5? What's the fifth?
Yeah, what's the fifth?
You get 2 from Supreme Truth,
Right.
double Supremes,
Oh, that's
2
fine.
Paranda Signets, and then 1
snap.
the Apex.
Oh, that damn Apex.
Terry's making a comeback. All right, this one's going to be a little bit longer. This one's going to require a little bit more writing, but I'm going to give you a little bit more time to answer. Ballistic Mastery in the Ranger tree does what 3 mods and for how much on each mod? This is a 3-pointer. Ballistic Mastery in the Ranger tree does what 3 mods and for how much on each mod?
Ready.
Let's see it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You got to get all 3. It's all or nothing.
I didn't get
Alright,
it. I only
what?
got 2.
I'm wrong. I'm pretty
It's
sure I'm wrong.
20% proj speed, 15% proj damage, and 20 dex.
12 proj
Oh, my
damage.
proj speed and damage
Oh
is
my
back.
god, the ranger!
Ah!
Oh,
Terry,
man.
oh my
Not
gosh, I
Ranger.
thought this one was a Terry gimme.
The level
I was
6
like, I'm gonna write
OP
this one for
ballistic
Terry.
mastery.
We need to get Hyper Bear in here. He nailed that one.
All right.
Yeah.
This one's going to require a little bit of math, but it's pretty easy. How many nodes have weapon elemental damage and only weapon elemental damage, not including all elemental damage nodes? And for what total amount?
Holy crap. Okay, so let's see.
Yeah, I'll give you guys like 10 seconds.
Well,
How
it's
many
more than that.
weapon elemental damage nodes are there and for what total amount? It doesn't have to explicitly say weapon elemental damage. Just keep that in mind.
Oh
But
my
you cannot use the spell ones, the ones that are interchangeable.
Like,
Only
how
the
about just-
attack-based weapon elemental damage.
Okay.
Question is, one more time, how many elemental damage nodes are there and for what total amount? This is a 2-point question.
Jeez, this should be
You
like
guys
a
good?
million. No, hold on. And there it is. All right, I'm ready whenever. Time to bomb this one.
I'm gonna say actually this.
All right. Hold them up in 3, 2, 1. It's close. What's Pulp say? 85?
Have
It's 88.
65%.
88.
88? God damn.
Yeah, it's 88%. All
Oh
you guys
my
got it
god,
wrong.
I did 71 instead of 72. God. Simple math.
Oh my god.
Uh,
Okay. This one is a 2-pointer. Which exile can hit the Chaos Inoculation Keystone, also known as CI, in the fewest amount of skill points traveled? Which exile can hit the Chaos Inoculation Keystone, also known as CI, in the fewest amount of skill points traveled?
I think I got this.
You guys got it? All right, pull them up in 3, 2, 1. The answer is Shadow.
Iona.
What
Shadow.
does yours say? Long?
Yeah.
Oh, he meant. Mine's Witch. His is
I thought you
Iona.
meant what? Like Igna Phoenix, for example?
Terry with another one. Terry's killing this
Yeah,
trivia.
Terry with
What's
two
that?
more
I put
points.
Shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think I
Shadow.
started.
So which gets EB faster? Makes
It's
sense.
actually 9 versus 10.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
it's actually
really?
very, very close.
Wow.
All right, this one's a 1-pointer. Holy Strength, the big health wheel between Templar and Witch, gives what mods and for what values to each mod? I'll give you guys like 10 seconds to write this one.
I'm good. Whenever you guys are.
Holy Strength, the big health wheel, or the node, I shouldn't say wheel, between Templar and Witch gives what mods and what values to each mod? This is only a 1-pointer. Everyone should know this one. All right, hold them up in 3, 2, 1. What do we have?
Let's see if you can read this. 20 strength, 8% life, and 3%
Forgot the
armor
strength.
Yeah, 3% increased buffs. Do you guys all have increased buffs?
No, Terry forgot
Yeah,
the
I
strength.
got buffed in life, but I got the same strength.
The life is 8% too, right?
Okay, so Terry and Zeno got it.
No, Pulp and Xeno.
Oh no, mine's
Or,
wrong.
yeah,
I got
yeah,
the-
sorry. Oh, Pulp is the only one that got it?
Pulp and me got it.
Oh, okay.
I have to use
Okay,
my
that-
pen now. The
Man.
thingy, the stift.
Killing trees over
Ran out,
here,
you know?
man. It's getting hot over here.
This one's a 1-pointer. The thick skin life wheel between Duelist and Ranger gives how much % total life?
The whole wheel?
Yeah, just the wheel. Thick skin life wheel between Duelist and Ranger gives how much percentage of total life? All right, hold them up in 3, 2, 1. Let's see it. It's 34%. Wow, Zeno's the
Oh,
only one that got that one right.
I forgot one of the 8% nodes.
1 point for Zeno. Shame on you guys. All right. The crit wheel between Witch and Templar, called Intense Zeal, gives 45% increased critical strike chance, and what else? I want the what else part. So it's got 2 mods
Can
on
I
this
get that?
node. The crit wheel between Witch and Templar has a crit wheel called Intense Zeal. That's the node. It gives 45% increased critical strike chance, and what else?
Do you need the number as well, or just?
Yeah,
What
just the
else
number
did-
and what it is.
Like the exact value.
We good? Because chat's
Yeah, you guys
saying it
good?
right now, man. You taking too long. And I already had that
Alright.
shit written. Boom.
Life gain
I
on
got
kill. Life
crit
gain
multi.
15.
Damn it.
No, yeah, that's wrong. All right, so Terex and Zeno both get 2 points. All right, we got 4 more left. This is a 3-pointer. How much power charge duration percentage can be found or can be gained from the entire tree? How much power charge duration percentage can be gained from the entire skill tree? All right. Hold them up in 3, 2, 1. Let's see. Nobody got this right. Nobody. Terry was the closest. It was 15 plus 15, 30.
That's 15%.
Oh,
Dang, I'm
Yeah.
a
That one was
rookie.
18 and
I thought it
10.
was 10%.
1 in the Templar and 1 in the Shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the endurance charges are 18s, and the frenzies are. What are the frenzies? 18s?
Yep. Dang,
Okay.
I'm a rookie.
So this one is a 1-pointer. Shame on you if you don't know this one. The only node in the skill tree to give increased melee weapon and unarmed range is called what? You guys have 5 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everyone should know this one.
Not gonna be able to
Master
read
of the Arena.
there you
Yeah,
go.
everyone gets that right. Everyone gets a point. All right, here's a 3-pointer. How many curses in the current state of the game can be cast by one person? This is including items, gear, whatever, mods, just how many items is it possible in the current state of the game that can be cast by one person? All right.
Hold
them
on,
up
hold
and
on.
You don't have to write all the things. You just got to tell me the number. It's a single digit number.
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see it. It is 5.
No, it's 6.
The corrupt amulet.
Corrupt
Yeah,
amulet,
exactly.
Yeah,
2 rings,
I counted that one.
tree, 1 passively, boots. Windscreen.
Yeah, I
Well,
put
6
wind screams,
includes-
double Deodries, that's 3.
Yep.
Plus the Ami, that's 4.
Plus the
And
tree,
Whispers of Doom.
plus your
Yeah, that's
passive.
Whispers of
You get a
Doom.
passive curse you can cast.
So I think we all answered it right, but we're counting the one that you get
Oh,
already.
it is 6.
So, yeah,
Okay, so
so
minus
5
20 for me. And everybody else gets...
Here, Hedgie,
Wow.
I drew a seat.
You at
Sit
your
in
own
it.
question.
All right, dropping the bomb on me. That was 3 points for everybody, and minus 20 for me. Okay, and this is the last one. It's a 3-point question. How many reduced mana reserve nodes are there on the entire tree?
Oh my god.
Listen carefully. How many reduced mana reserve nodes are
Oh,
there on the tree? I
reserves,
don't want to know the
okay.
values. I just want to know how many of the nodes there are. Everyone in chat is blowing me up. I totally didn't even think about the one that you
You
get.
passive?
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. So hold them up in 3, 2, 1. Let's see it. It is 8. So only Zeno
Yeah.
gets it right.
Nice.
3
Get
points
that
for
outta here.
Zeno. Congratulations. What are the scores? We'll see the scores. If you wanna
Hedging
go
minus
into Pulp's-
17. If we had 3 more to the last one, I have 31 total.
Okay. All right. We want to go to Pulp segment. Hope
Alright.
you guys like the game. It takes a little while to think of some stuff, but let us know what you guys think, and we'll do it again if you guys like it.
Hold on.
So it looks like you're writing your own name on that board, Zeno.
Xeno's a champ with 31. Someone play some Queen.
I promise you, none of these people
Champion.
had any access or any cheats. This is all 100% new to them and their ears.
Oh man, that was a
that
lot
was
of fun. I
awesome.
want to do that again. You guys, you
Yeah.
guys killed me on some of them. I mean, blew me away. All right,
Some of them,
go ahead, Terry.
I was gonna say some of them you answer, and then as soon as you hear it, it's just like, oh, it makes sense. Makes sense.
So, if you guys liked it, give us some feedback. We might actually turn this into like a weekly thing where we can bring viewers on or get more streamers on. It was really just a pilot. I hope you guys liked it. It was a lot of fun, more relaxed, and rather than our structured environment that we normally do. So please, any feedback, good, bad, we're willing to hear it all. So let's get into the next thing. Pulp, you're gonna tell us all about your 2 week success. I need to hear this because I stink and I need to hear how to get good.
All right. First off, it's like, you have to figure out who you're gonna play with and what build they're gonna do. So you have the DPS and you have the support. The way we first planned our group was with 6 people. We had 3 DPS, 2 support, and myself, DPS as well, I guess, as DD. And the other 2 were crit spectral though, with leech auras of a support. But that kinda fell to the floor because 4 guys died before we got the maps. Or actually 3 guys died before we got the maps. So from there on, I just, I knew that Detonate that was really strong, but I had no idea that, you could carry entire groups with it. So around level 60, actually let me just start at the beginning. I started leveling with Flame Blast because you don't really need gear for it, and you still do a lot of damage. So up until I actually found them myself, the +1 Curse Boots, Wind Scream, I believe.
Yep.
Like that's when I transitioned to Detonate that, which was around level 70. And from there on, it was just a smooth ride. Like every map was so easy. The only thing that was bad in the beginning was my survivability, because I didn't have Mind Over Matter and Iron Reflection, so I solely depended on a Granite Flask. I mean, if I got charged by 3 roars at the same time, I would probably died at those early stages. So you have to be very careful once you hit around 60. But one big thing that really helped me throughout this race was Solaris. He was a aura support with Grace and Determination and all the aura efficiency nodes. So whenever I played with him, he gave me like 15k armor on top of my Arctic armor, which made me pretty much, immune to damage. Nothing could really hurt me from there on. And then there's like saving your currency. You're gonna have to save currency wisely for the biggest uniques that's gonna make the difference, Like, for example, for my build, Garbage Shack is one of the uniques that gave me a lot of damage and a lot of radius. So if you're doing a race, like a 1 week or a 2 week, you're gonna have to think about what you're gonna need first as a big unique that you're gonna have to save your currency for. And also XP gear is very important in getting that high level. Detonate that doesn't really require that much gear. So I could take full advantage of pretty much every XP piece that's out there, like the weapon, the ring, and the helm. So I was wearing 3 pieces.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
yeah,
Pulp,
exactly.
I had a question. When you're referring to your group, like, how does it go initially when, like, how tight knit is your group? Do you guys just hook each other up? You guys all agree to do different specs and just give each other gear for free, or how does that go? Is
Yeah,
it a certain threshold, or if this is worth too much, then you actually have to pay me something, or what? How does that work?
Yeah, before the race starts, we all decide our build, like who goes support, who goes DPS. In this case, I went DPS and my friends went support. The two guys that I played with most were Lando and Solaris, and they were both support. And currency wise, like we just save up to what's gonna benefit the group most. In this case, it was me doing all the damage, so pretty much all the currency went towards me first. But any job that someone could benefit from, we would just give it. We're not gonna charge each other because we're all striving for the same goal, which is getting top. So it doesn't matter if it's a Combs Heart, for example, it would have gotten, to the other guy for free.
Wow, that's
So
true
we usually
bro
do.
status right there.
Yeah, that's
Combs
freaking
hard
awesome.
here. This is best for you. Take it. But what happens when
Lots of
somebody dies?
sacrificing.
Does a group mechanic crumble? Like, isn't someone responsible for running certain auras, and the support can't play by himself, or like how does that work?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was getting worried about as well. Like on the first day, because so many people kept dying. Because that's when it's the first time that I ever played Detonate that race, so I had no idea that it was as strong as it is. So once I finally transitioned to DD, I knew that as long as I stayed alive, I could, keep helping or carrying, the lack of DPS from the other guys. Because our support literally did 0 DPS. They were just there to proc equilibrium and have auras for me. But if someone died, then what would happen was he either re-leveled like quickly and just, went full support to help me in maps or help someone else in maps, or he would just give me all his currency that, I could use it for maps, buy maps, do whatever.
Wow, that is a true brother right there.
So it's not like if someone dies, like does that mean like everyone's got to dig deep and dump some currency to get him back into shape? Or I mean, doesn't that slow down the whole group? Or is he pretty much throwing in the towel and saying, all right, well, I'm not competing? Or like how does that work?
In this case, when someone died, like he just re-rolled them and support again. And for that support spec, he didn't really need any gear, just life, resist, maybe movement speed on boots. And that's all gear
Okay.
that we already had a bunch of, still for sale. So whatever was in our shop, he would just pick what he needed and he would be fully geared.
Your supports
So
were
it
also
wasn't
running
that much of a
conduit,
setback.
correct?
Yeah, there was
I figured as much.
a Solaris, he was a magic finder with split arrow for culling on a quill ring. The reason why he used a quill ring is because if you use split arrow with life on it, it becomes very tanky, especially with a quill ring because your attack speed is so ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Then my other support was, at least most of the time, was Lando. He was running offensive Rs with other R nodes, which gave me haste, which gave me like, I think over 32% gas speed or something, which made a big difference in clear speed as well.
Now, this question I had about Detonate Dead, there's always the argument of level it versus don't level it. Did you end up leveling yours?
No, you don't level detonate that, you just leave it level 1, because that's when the mana cost, stays very, very low. And by leveling the gem, you don't get anything, just the physical damage, I guess, increased, but that doesn't make a difference at all on damage.
There you go. So if you ever play Detonate Dead, do not level it up. You heard it right here from the pro.
But also, like, I think the second day or the third day, when we started maps, I was doing a mountain ledge, and we got very lucky, and we got a Rise of the Phoenix drop. So I started using that, because otherwise I would have probably gotten in trouble with Reflect. But ever since I equipped the Rise of the Phoenix, like, Reflect didn't do anything to me. I was pretty much immune to Reflect. And the reason why we got so high in levels is because Ambush was Invasion and Ambush, and it had cartographers boxes, which dropped a ridiculous amount of maps. Like, I had never done Ambush before, so I didn't really know what to expect from log boxes. I was just reading my stream's chat, what the best rolls were, and this and that. And then once I saw my first cartographer box in a 70 map, I believe, we alterated it to get +5, and we got pretty lucky, I think, and we got 274 maps out of that. So that's really what jump started us into doing high maps currently, or consistently. And if you're doing high, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, has there been any situation where you guys switch roles because of deaths?
I don't think so. I think the guys that died, they were gonna go crit spectral throw and leech off, the wrath and anger of a different support. But those, like, we didn't really get that far with them, at least. They just died and they pretty much gave up on the race. So that's very,
Okay.
The guy who was running Wrath and Anger, Lendo, he just changed his build to do equilibrium and offensive, like haste and purities instead. So we would just benefit Solaris and myself.
Did you even use Purity of Ice? Like, I'm guessing you didn't.
I think Lendo had Purity Vice running all 3 purities and haste.
So you had level Determ, Grace, Try Purity, and then Haste. What else do you need for DD other than Clarity and Discipline, right? And that's what you ran?
Yeah, that's what I ran myself. Didn't really need anything else.
Oh my gosh.
It's just really nice. Like, defensively, like, I was just such a tank. I could just lightning orb inside every pack and kill it in seconds.
That's just freaking nuts.
But also, because we were staying at only 3-player health, the damage, you didn't need like 5 or 10 seconds to kill a rare, they would just die instantly. Because there's such a low player gap as opposed to a full group.
When you're putting the group together, what like base requirements do you have found like in each time you put the group together, what do you always have first, like planned out?
It depends on like the current state of the game, what builds are most efficient without needing that much gear, you know. But also, if you're planning a group of 6 people, you don't really need any gear. As long as you have aura supports, you can, base your elemental damage of theirs, which is really nice. Like for example, the last 1 week race, or maybe the one before that, I went Elemental Wonder, and I had an insane amount of damage from just having a 5-link, because I had a friend who did an aura support build, so his Wrath, Anchor, Haste would just, give me insane damage. That's usually how we plan our groups.
Wrath, Anger, Haste is... They're not only ridiculously strong, but I think auras at this point in this game are just... They're pretty much carrying everything. And it makes spellcasters even harder. I mean, spellcasters get free damage anyways from leveling up your gem. But the fact that Wrath, Anger, Haste can just completely carry you, it just makes racing even better.
Physical damage is really good if you can get it, but it's so gear requirement that usually it's better at the beginning of a league or a race to go elemental.
Yep.
But yeah, back to the 2-week. I think, also a lot of people asked me about my sleep, that I didn't sleep at all. But the first week was a bit brutal. Like I only slept 5 or 6 hours every day. But once the second week happened, we had done what I had planned, was get ahead of the curve, get such a big advantage or a big lead that you can just, have normal sleeping schedules. Which was, I think, every day I slept for like 8 to 10 hours, and I still managed to hit 98. So that just shows you how much of a difference it makes if you have access to high maps, because that's what was key really. If you can do 78s, 77s all day, then it's a huge difference from being able to do 70 maps all day, for example.
So the 78 maps, I saw your VOD of how you got like the perfectly rolled Carto box. You want to talk about that?
It was very cheap as well. It was like we found I think it was our second cartographer's box in a very high map, which was a Academy, a 76 map. And I was getting worried because I didn't have that much currency to roll it, But once I started using my chaos, I think it was the 3rd or the 4th one, that we just got an insane roll, like as good as it gets really. And then we also got lucky on the job itself. I think I got something like 13, 78 maps out of it.
What was it? It was like +5 or +4, and then had quantity and additional, a 7 additional or something ridiculous. And out came all the 78s.
I think it was 7 additional, +4, and mirrored.
Oh, mirrored too. Oh my god. Oh, that must have been great. Even though you can't roll mirrored maps, just the fact that you get experience from them. 2, they're easier than normal. So you could start with those first, and then they still will have a chance of dropping 78, 77 maps.
That's just the weird thing. Like during the entire 2-week, my mirrored maps, they would produce a lot more than the maps that I would actually spend currency in.
Yeah, just like on host.
Just like Goatmen, they always pay out.
It's like you spend all your currency rolling these maps, and then you kind of expect to get at least 1 map back. Then you put in a mirrored map and you get like 5 maps out of it. That's just the way the game works, I guess.
Yeah, it's RNG's RNG.
Now, was this the first time you were actually playing with the cartographer's boxes, or was this your first experience at high end?
I had never done ambush before, or any lockbox for that matter. So while I was leveling during the 2-week, every time I saw a lockbox, it was my first time. Like I didn't know what it did, I just YOLO'd it pretty much.
I'm sure everyone warned you, stay away from Ice Nova and Detonate Dead.
How did
people warned me about Ice Nova.
How did it feel to go back home without them? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, that's the game, or the lockboxes, they make the game a lot more fun. So I definitely hope that they keep them in next leagues, and they add them to the hardcore version as well.
Now, something I noticed too with lockboxes is you can re-roll them with alterations, obviously. Did you ever find your group re-rolling for the 3 magic packs? Like, the negative mod, if you will. All monsters are then magic, 3 packs of magic monsters for the experience.
That's actually what we started doing. Like, if you were just spending alterations, instead of chaos or elks, then we would just roll for 3 rare mobs or 3 magic mobs, just to get more XP.
I think that was like a hidden gem in the 2-week race. I was watching a lot of streams and I was like, why didn't I never think of this? That's just brilliant.
Yeah. They gave a
Dude, the
lot of
3
XP
rare
as well.
mobs is
There's
like
so many mobs, man.
yeah, the 3 rare mobs is like one of the most deadly things. It can be like the scariest depending on what
Subfizz, crit
combinations
aura
you
with.
get.
There's like
Undying or something.
They have Subfizz aura, the
Yeah.
crit accuracy aura, or corrupting blood with the Subfizz, and you're just like,
The way we
Nasty.
opened every chest was like, Solaris, he was the magic finder, you know. He was also very tanky. I think he had like 20k plus armor with like 6k life or something. So he would smoke mine. Whenever you open it, he would smoke mine away once he opened it, you know.
mm-hmm.
So he like 9 out of 10 times he wouldn't even get hit just because he smoked mine, timed it perfectly.
Makes sense.
And he wasn't the one that died, right?
No, the highest one that died was Dump Truck. He was the summoner. I think he died at around level 85 or something like that.
Yeah, I think Solaris was 4th in the race overall.
Yeah, he was 95, I believe.
It's
Rank
friggin'
4 indeed,
nuts.
or rank 5.
I must admit, you guys really killed it, and it just goes to show that spec doesn't matter nearly as much as group dynamic. Making sure you have a plan with the group and then sticking to it, you know, or changing it depending on who dies. I mean, you guys killed it. I was in utter awe with the fact you hit 98. I mean, mad props.
I
to you,
mean,
dude.
having community stashes sounds huge. Like, you know, whatever's benefiting, you just like grab it and go. Or like, hey, I'm out of chromes, I need to use this. You're like, here's 20. You know, make it happen. You know, that's huge as far as keeping momentum and not having to worry so much about trading or getting the items you need. Was that like how
Actually,
did you guys even handle trading?
I didn't trade at all during the 2-week race because Solaris volunteered to do it, you know. I would just give him every item that's sellable and he would put it in his shop just using, you know, a
Oh
tool.
wow, that
So
was
I
after he
didn't,
died.
No, Solaris isn't the one that died.
No, he didn't die.
Oh,
Solaris is
okay.
the one that sticked with me throughout the entire thing.
So
wow, yeah,
So that was really nice.
in the future, do you think 2-week was too long? 1 week was, you know, would be more preferred, or do you think that they should go with more 2-week races? Because one, they raise money for a charity, and two, you know, we got to see more high end level 98. We never saw that before in these kind of events.
Yeah, I think the biggest factor about this race that I got so high was the cartographers boxes. But you know, and if it's a 1 week or a 2-week race, I don't really care that much, except for that a 1 week you have a lot less sleep because it's pretty much
yeah.
if you want to win, that is, it's pretty much shorter and can stay as longest. But definitely a 2-week, it was a lot of fun, and I hope they, you know, do it more often.
Good. Well, there you go, GGG. 2 weeks, please, more of them. We loved it. In my personal experience, I think the hybrid would have been great for both leagues. If both leagues were just hybrid, both softcore and hardcore, I think it would have been great.
Yeah.
I mean,
That would've been amazing.
Invasion did get, you know, a lot of flack, but those lock boxes with the invaders, or maybe invaders popping out of the lock boxes. Oh man,
That would be scary.
Surprise devour.
See you later. So thanks
Like
a lot,
that,
Pulp.
that nu-
Oh, go
that
ahead.
Nugi VOD, did you see that one? Where you
Oh
open
yeah.
the box
All you
and-
have to do is
and the
dodge.
box. That's such a good one.
that was probably my favorite death that I've seen. Just like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, I
that
do
was
this all the
very, very
time. You
funny.
no problem. He's like, oh, I'm dead. That's that.
Putting your foot in your mouth is something that happens a lot when you stream. I've noticed, at least. Oh yeah, this guy's real easy, and then you die. You're like, I just died to Harbinger. I'm terrible. It happens. So, Pulp, thanks a lot for
You can't-
coming. Oh, go ahead.
You can't underestimate the Harbinger, man. If he shotguns you and merciless, that could be nasty.
Oh yeah, it's that haste
Oh,
aura too. Oof.
It's steady crit, I think. Or he can crit.
Yep. So, thanks a lot for coming, man. That was really good information. I learned a lot from your segment just now, and hopefully I have better success as well as the rest of the community in these 2-week races. That was great information. It means a lot that you came by for the community. Thank you.
Got it, man.
So now we're going to go into our next portion, which is the question and answers. You guys can continue to ask Q&A type questions. Throughout this entire podcast, you guys have been asking questions, and we've been putting them into like a Google document. So let's kick it off. Hedgie, you want to go ahead and read the first question?
Yes. IR Maggers, he asks, at all, do you think that changing all auras to percentage except clarity was the right move to stop players using all auras? If you cannot think of another solution. I feel like it definitely was the right move, but I feel like there might be too much either total reservation that you can get on the tree, and that's what really allows you to abuse these kinds of things. I think if they either reduce the amount of nodes that reduce auras, or if they lower the values, I think if they can get people to drop like 1 or 2 more auras, I think it'd be in a good spot, or at least a 60% and a 40%. Overall, I feel like they're very strong and they're potent, and they're meant to be. I wouldn't change what they actually do. I would just change how much it costs to utilize them.
For me, I think the biggest take back with changing them to percent wasn't the fact that auras or aura nodes and all that was really strong now. It's the fact that it killed blood magic. Blood magic was really, really good because you had grace, you had wrath, anger, all those were on flat mana costs, and you could run blood magic with it no problem. And now blood magic, the only thing you can run that's flat mana is clarity, which does nothing. Your blood magic. So in essence, it was good for the change of the game because auras were getting ridiculous. But once people figured out how strong aura nodes were, with Crown of Eyes especially, it became even more ridiculous. And blood magic still needs some love. That's my take on it.
I agree completely with what Zeno and Hedgie just said, that the R nodes are super powerful. I've overlooked them for a long time, and it blows me away the amount of stats that they can give, like whether or not it's from damage or resistance. It's like, holy crap, you see the displayed how much they give, but when you actually like equip the aura, the amount of stats that it gives, it's like, wow, it gives a lot.
You can have no percent evasion in the tree and have like a level 21 grace with aura nodes and just have insane evasion. And that's another thing. In Nemesis and Domination, there were no level 21 auras. Now there are, and that's just a whole nother slew of aura effects, just buffing those even more.
I feel like
if you're a low life build.
Oh yeah.
If you're a low life build, for example, and you go on there with grace, from just the aura nodes, you'll have 10k evasion pretty easily.
Yep.
Yeah, that is insane. But I feel like there's, stepping in the right direction with these Val aura nodes. And like, I can see how, before they were getting kind of upset with the design because you had like 2 4 links dedicated to auras. I mean, that was like every character pretty much rocked them. And it was making the gem system uninteresting because you're getting something passively. Yes, it takes some kind of, methodical gear setup, but outside of that, the actual combat is just kind of bland where you have these more active skills that give you even more. I think that's what they're trying to get you towards to. And, reducing that, also freeing up a lot of gem slots allowed the meta of cast on crit. That's when the whole cast on damage taken, all that stuff came into play. So it was necessary. You're going to have to sacrifice some auras as far as gem slots to get these other cool abilities. Otherwise, people wouldn't use them.
It's true. All right, let's go into our next question. It's by Reznok et al. Rank the importance of flask suffixes. Increased armor on granite, remove shock, remove bleed, remove freeze, hexproof, and remove ignite. You want to kick this one off, Terry? The importance of flask.
I would say, like, your flask, for how they're rolled, it's going to be relative to your character stats and what you're actually doing with your character. Like, for example, if you don't have max cold res, like, it's good to maybe have a sapphire flask with the spells frozen and chilled on you. If you're going to be doing like a specific boss fight, it's all about like having the appropriate stats for the appropriate fight. If you're missing something, you have like low armor, you might want to consider a remove bleed flask just so you don't instantly die taking like a couple steps once you're punctured. So I think the importance is going to be up to the player relative to what stat they need to their character currently and the like position that you put yourself in. Often you got to make the best judgment call on which one to roll.
For me, Quicksilver with remove curse is one of the strongest, and you should always carry around at least 1 remove bleed, if not 2. I think those are like the staple, and if no situation were to arise, just random in a map or randomly leveling curse removal on a Quicksilver, because once you're full life, the flask effect ends, or once you're full mana, the flask effect ends, so therefore you lose your curse immunity. So I think Quicksilver is the highest, right, Hedgie? Yes? No?
Yes, Quicksilver is the longest, and you can use it the most amount of times. And it's guaranteed. You don't have to be, they changed the whole meta of the flask. Like, you can't use and get a secondary effect if you're full mana or full health. I feel like one of the strongest things that I would, obviously the Quicksilver and warding, that's my
Yep.
go-to combo.
That's
And then my
always-
second go-to combo is having a shock removal. Being able to remove one shock stack is paramount. And then, 3 in a pinch, you should never get to 3, but sometimes you will. And those are the big killers, is getting that shock stack, because everything will just spiral so insane if you cannot remove that shock. So I always have 2 wardings and a shock. The others, I can't carry a bleed and a granite flask, depending upon how strength or how tanky my character is armor wise.
How about you? What are your flash setups normally, Pulp?
The ones that I keep going back to, at least for every build, is usually the granite with the percentage armor, which gives you a lot of survivability. It makes you're probably able to tank most physical things in the game, except for like the ridiculous things like Ball Slam, for example. But it hugely depends on what type of character you're doing. The flasks that I personally usually use are 2 removes bleeding for corrupting blood, I believe. Yeah.
Yep.
And
Punctures, things like that.
and punctures, yeah. I don't have a shock removal. I tend to avoid big lightning damage that I know I'm gonna get shock stacked from. I usually off-screen them. I use 1 curse immunity, so I have a granite with a percentage armor roll. I have 2 removes bleeding, curse immunity, and for the last one, I usually, depending on the build, use another curse immunity or another removes bleeding.
And there you have it. It's pretty much cookie cutter. Also, Val Smash is half fire damage, I believe. So granites wouldn't do very much. All right.
Immortal Call.
Oh, All right, next
All right,
one.
the next one is from iMaggers. He says, at Xeno, seeing as how you like really odd builds, can you think of another trigger gem that doesn't already exist? What would you like to see as far as trigger gems?
Trigger is one of those things where it's like, it's fun, but you're probably going to kill yourself. So I really like Cast on Crit's been done a lot. Obviously, about a couple podcast episodes ago, I mentioned punishment reflection using the Shackles of the Wretched gloves. And with Glacial Hammer coming out, I believe Raze QT actually made a build around this in EK. You can chain it to a certain extent, but there is still a cast on damage taken passive cooldown of 0.25 seconds. I think those interesting, automated builds are really fun, but I think they're too gimmicky. I mean, honestly, it's like cast on crit or go home nowadays. If I were to make another trigger spec, it would be cast on crit with raging, summon raging spirits, using wrath and anger, and boosting them up. Good old aura
That's what I
nodes.
was doing.
Mine would be like cast on melee hit, AoE suck in. That's what I would want. Something to bring in mobs closer as you're like traveling.
It's
be
almost like
cool.
automated in itself too. All right, next question we have Scarcrag at Hedgie. Do you think an in-game trading mechanic like an auction house would benefit the game or not? And if not, why?
I don't think it would, because it'd take the human interaction and the whole thrill and the joy of finding like a good deal or a steal of a deal or making a profit. PoE, as far as like the social aspect, it doesn't have too much going for it. We have guilds, but guilds don't really have purpose other than, it's a group of friends. There's no really big activities that the devs throw out there. It's all, if you do stuff as a guild, like low level PvP or stuff like that. So trading is one of the ways that you can use an economic skill to get you an in-game, advantage as far as like success and merching. And some people play this game because they like to trade, and that's like they just stick around in town, fill up their stashes of exalts, and they get then they do those insane crafts. So I think taking away the trade is not good. However, they've expressed that they're going to have more features as far as like being able to trade They still want that human interaction with the other person, but you'll be able to trade through the website, and you won't have to actually log in the game. So if you're at work and you have access to the PoE website, you should be able to exchange. That feature is coming, sometime soon. Um, but I mean, I think those overall are, trading is a skill, and there are ways to deal with it. But I mean, some people hate it, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, hey G, I used to play a lot of those Korean grind MMOs, and they always had characters you can make and set up your own personal shop, AFK, and still be in the game, and people would buy stuff from your shop. Do you think that's
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Do you think that's a little bit ridiculous?
Yeah, they might as well just put an auction house if you're gonna do that. I mean,
Figured as much.
yeah.
Oscar just
I actually like that idea.
Yeah, he did.
They had that in Asheron's Call too. It was awesome. You just put like a C note or a D note, and it would calculate what scared you would get back. But okay, next question is from Lol You Died at Pulp. What's your favorite build and class of all time?
I think my favorite class is probably Shadow, just because you can get so much crit and damage from it. And I'm the kind of guy that always tries to go for as much damage as possible. My favorite build probably has to be either a low life Wonder or a low life Spectral Throw. Like the big difference being mobility. Like low life Spectral Throw with rolling blades, nothing can really match it mobility wise because you can get everywhere just at ridiculous speed. And if you're a Wonder, you don't really have the gem options to use a lightning warp with reduced duration because you need your auras and your single target falling. So it probably had either one of those.
Low life is OP.
Okay, Athame asks, do you think people who RMT ruins the economy? I want to say no, it doesn't ruin the economy, it ruins competition. And when people RMT, it takes the spirit away and the whole purpose and point out of it. But that's pretty much all I feel about that. It doesn't really, it's only one person or it's only a select few that are doing it. Not going to have a big economic impact on in the big scheme, but it does definitely soil ruin competition and the feel and the prestige when the people cheat. The next question is by G. Wilson. At all, how do you feel about the dead area of the passage tree between Marauder and Templar right now? Many of these nodes seem extremely inefficient and need some reworking in my opinion. What can be done about the nodes to make them worth grabbing in the future? Example, many of the staff nodes.
If you don't mind if I
You guys
get
wanna
this
kick
one.
us off?
I actually
Sure.
talked about this in my segment today. There is a huge dead center, and there's a lot of, the high road, for example, in this tree isn't nearly as good as other ones. Honestly, they just need to make better, make some two-handed nodes in there. Put maybe some more life nodes. Something besides the random reduced mana nodes in the tree are rarely picked up. And it's hard for me to ever justify making, like a 70% reduced mana build. I'd rather see some more weapon spec, like staff nodes, two-handed crit nodes, some more crit love on the left side of the tree, because staves are the highest local crit out of any two-hander. Yet there's only I think there's 4 wheels on the left side of the tree that benefit that, and one of them is a stretch. The other one is mediocre, and the 2 on the very left side of the tree are very good. So maybe more of those type nodes. There's a lot of stun nodes there already, but for the most part, they really need to just add some more stave love, or maybe some flat something. I don't know, like flat life, or I don't know, more just passive physical nodes, kind of like Path of the Warrior. What do you guys think?
I agree. Like how going from Marauder to Duelist, like there's weapon damage, life armor. But going from like Marauder to Templar, there's some staff, like there's some stats. There's sword on the left, axe node, and like 1 mace node that kind of go up the left. But like it just feels like there needs to be a bit more useful passives just to like make people to want to invest to go, I guess, in between them. Like I know of like the good nodes between Marauder and Duelist, but I can only think of like 1 or 2 between Marauder and Templar that I'd use.
You guys have anything, or?
I'm not really experienced with like the Marauder tree and such, but for Ranger, for example, if you want to go down to thick skin, the 18% life node, I think it's called thick skin.
Yep.
Like there's an option to go through 10 dex nodes or 3% attack speed nodes. And usually if I'm lower level, I opt for the attack speed, and then later I could reach back out of it if I want one more node. But maybe there's like a variant to that in Marauder where you can take damage and lose one, utility node.
More options rather than the left side up towards the life
Yeah.
wheel and the sovereignty
Exactly.
wheel. Yeah, there's only
You can
one
do
option.
2 damage. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, personally playing with my Righteous Fire Marauder Dominating Blow, I feel like, I did travel between the two, but there are a lot of dead wheels, like these 8% mana nodes that lead to nothing, and these 10% armor nodes that lead to nothing. I'm pretty sure those and the melee two-handed damage nodes, those are just collecting dust. Nobody picks them. And I hope they do something to change, give some end node or some kind of love to those things, because they just sit there and I'm almost certain nobody picks them up.
No. I forgot about that armor wheel because, like you said,
Yeah, that armor wheel and
Yeah.
that mana wheel is just horrible. It's just like, why does this exist?
All right, next question is asked by Baraka Flocka Flame. At Pulp, GGG has hinted a 1 month league between the current 4 month and the next one. What kind of league would you be hyped for?
I think if they make it ambush plus invasion, that'll be very fun. But they should also add like, a damage mod on top of that, just to make it more exciting.
Oof.
Something like, a minor turbo or, a minor added damage of some sort.
My
That would be
Now,
fun,
I
in my
brought
opinion.
Go ahead.
I brought this to my viewers once, and I was thinking, like, what do you guys think about an ambush plus invasion league self-found with maybe like slightly increased currency drops?
In the Athene interview with Chris Wilson, he was like, if we were ever do a self-found league, it wouldn't be 4 months, it would be like 1 month. So instinctively, that's what I thought in that interview with Athene. So maybe you're right. Maybe it is a hybrid with self-found. And it would be possible because those ambush boxes are legit. Get a lot of goodies out there.
The thing about self-found though is, usually when you reach endgame, you have to share your currency rolling maps.
Yep.
Otherwise, you're not gonna get much map or many maps back. So how would they do that?
Or reduced mana.
Well, I mean, you have ambush boxes to help you, and you could have like a increased, quantity drop so that you do get more currency up until that point. But I mean, do you think you would have as much fun doing it alone? Because I'm curious to see if the ladder would still look the same. Some of the top players that map in 4 month leagues or week races, I would like to see if they are the same victors that do it when it's self-found. Like, I want to know how much of that group dynamic is actually, pushing them and, I don't know, it's maybe quote unquote carrying them or, something like that.
I think that would be fun, but not for a 1 month. It would be more a thing for a 1 week, because I really like playing
Okay.
with my friends, having that interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 month, no friends. That would be rough. That's a very good call.
I think a 1 week would be a lot better. Yeah.
Massively massively multiplayer online game? Except for 1 month. You make a good point there, Paul.
All right, Tex, you want to read the next question?
Next question is from Werb Ben Jaeger. At Pulp, is it possible to run RF on top of Detonate Dead build, since you're using Rise of the Phoenix and have all the burning/fire nodes that benefit both?
I think it would be possible, but it wouldn't be very smart, because you're already proliferating a big burn, a big damage from Detonate Dead, and because it's not a spell damage doesn't affect the damage of it, so it just become a nuisance trying to maintain, or just be hurting your overall survivability. There wouldn't be much of a reason to run Righteous Fire on top of Detonate Dead.
Yep. Flame Surge is the new
So-
one with it.
You're already like
Yeah, I
off screening most stuff anyways, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I tried Righteous Fire Flame Surge myself as well, and it was a lot of fun, to my own surprise. Like, Flame Surge is actually a really cool spell, but the thing about it, the way the increased AoE works, it only, goes in length, not width, I believe.
Same thing with Glacial Cascade, yeah. It just extends the
Yes.
range rather than the width. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's hurting those type of spells, really, in my opinion. That's why they're so underused.
Oh, agreed. All right. Next question we have from Lurker SC at all. What uniques do you think will get nerfed in the 1.2 patch, and what exactly do you think will be done to them?
I'll kick this one off. I think the Atsiri gloves will get nerfed, but the way they'll nerf it, I think, will be it'll be instant still, but it'll be 15% or 50% effectiveness, or maybe 40 to line up with Valpak. So you'll still get instant mana and life leech, but I think it'll just be reduced. I feel like that's just to me one of the game breaking things that are just far better than any other item, especially when it comes to scaling and survivability. And because of the strength of the gloves, they're so build enabling that it allows you to avoid a lot of mechanics. But that's just how I feel about those particular gloves.
They're without a doubt like the most powerful item in the game right now. You can just face tank everything. As long as you don't
Almost
get
everything,
one shot.
yeah. Yeah. What do you guys think? Pulp?
Good, Pulp.
The Atsiri gloves?
No, what
No,
items do you think are gonna get
what
nerfed?
other items do you think are going to get nerfed? And how would they nerf it?
I think they need to reduce the bonus from what's that spell called that you use with the shafts? Low life?
Pain attunement.
The extra spellings? Yeah, pain attunement. They need to reduce the percentage of that, in my opinion. So when you go low life with a Crown of Ice, you're not gonna have insane amounts of damage, you know. It's still gonna be a nice bonus, because that's what you expect from the amount of currency that you need to obtain that. But if they nerf that, then, you know, they would also... I think that the damage effectiveness of Crown of Ice should also go down a bit, because right now it's insane. You can get such high numbers with them.
And that's exactly what I was going to
those two.
say. Crown of Eyes
What
needs a
about
damage effectiveness on it for attacks at least. Well, it is always for attacks, so like maybe 80%. And then I think that something you guys forgot, Mjolnir. That thing I think is going to get smacked so hard. It's just an I win button, really.
I feel like a lot of people die from it. Like a lot of people die from it, from just like one slip up, and they get punished really hard. But I feel like, what do you guys feel like if they had to drop, if low life builds with pain attunement and stuff, if they had to drop like 2.5 auras, do you think they would be in a good spot or still too broken?
So if they nerf the aura rather than the Crown of
Right.
Eyes.
No, well, rather than the pain attunement or Crown of Ice. So just
I think if
nerfing
you're
the amount of
dropping-
auras you can run.
I think then it becomes a choice whether you're going offensive or defensive, because you can't really use... If you're in hardcore, for example, you're not gonna run Wrath, Anger, and Hatred or Haste, for example. If it was me, I would be dropping Anger, just because Wrath, you know, you'll still shock stack, and then I would, I would drop damage basically for survivability. This should still give me really good endgame damage, but not, as crazy as it does right now.
Think about
So I
dropping...
think that would be a good option as well.
If you drop 2 or... Well, let's think about Crown of Eyes when it first came out. It was... Everyone automatically thought Physical Wander is what it used for, because no one knew it worked with Elemental. Clearing off the aura thing, I think would hurt the item in itself. I don't know. Because then you'd only really see it in physical builds. Unless you're going to run Hatred. I don't know. I really just think Crown of Eyes needs damage effectiveness. Pain Attunement's fine, because if you nerf Pain Attunement, that hurts spell users rather than attack. The whole point is to nerf the attack portion, not the spell portion. And Solaris Lorca still does exist too. You don't want to nerf that thing that's already, in my opinion, fairly underused.
Underused, but with good reason.
Yeah, it doesn't have any ES on it. Let's go to the next question. You want to ask
The next
it?
one's combined. Yeah. It's from Femtome, Zeta, and Agix. These I combined because they kind of go together. It's Femto asks, what do you guys think about self-cast in late game? And Agix asks, what do you think about the current state of mana cost for self-cast builds? What changes do you think that they could make to prevent shoehorning into Eldritch Battery to support the extreme costs?
I'll start this one. Self-casting's biggest problem is life leech. It's just not viable at all. You have to go all the way down to Valpak, which hurts your damage, hurts your survivability technically. It's just they're at a very weak point right now, other than, your Sibyl's Paw, Incinerate, tanky specs where you get life on hit with spells. I think they need to incorporate some sort of mechanic for self-casters to regenerate life other than get Arctic Armor and use flasks. That's like the go-to right now. There needs to be more viability. Discharge with Life Leech Gem before was great because every single mob you hit you benefited from, but now it's only the one mob you hit. The highest damage you hit on just one mob will benefit, and that's why you don't see discharges anymore. That's why you don't see, LMP and GMP, you get penalized when you want to use Life Leech with it because it's only the highest hitting projectile. I think there needs to be some sort of regeneration. The mana cost, yeah, it could be lowered a little bit, but it's not nearly as much of a problem. It's manageable compared to the survivability aspect, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
For self-cast, just like the current go-to right now is basically Life Regen, Eldritch Battery, just so like you can support the like a 5-link, 6-link from the high cost. Like not every build will grab that, but trying to think of something that they could do to make it so there's other alternatives. Like you touched up on a major point with the Life Leech changes. It's tough though, because like Eldritch Battery, it's really good combined with Mind Over Matter and Arctic Armor. So I don't know what you could do to prevent like that being the go-to for a caster on top of my head right now, because it's very strong.
I just feel like they need to just reduce the mana costs at the high end at least. I mean, I think the low end spellcasting is not so bad, and you definitely don't want to tamper with racing too much. But the high end, it's like to self cast, it costs a ridiculous amount of mana, and I don't feel like Eldritch Battery should be the go-to. And because of the high mana cost, people are going massive mana regen. Like how many casters do you see going blood magic now these days? Like none. It's just like
It used to be Iron Will Blood Magic, yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna tax your life that you already have a hard time regenning, and no way to leech it back like reliably. So either spell life on hit, behind some kind of keystones, or some kind of extra survivability to warrant the mana cost, or reduce the mana cost altogether. I think.
Like with the leech changes, it kind of ruined mana leech, so it's hard to go CI caster and sustain without having like Eldritch Battery and being able to keep casting with the leech.
What do you think, Pulp?
Yeah, I agree about the Eldritch Battery part. Like, there's no way to go blood magic with the current state of the game. Like, for example, you used to there'd be so many blood magic free spells with the Crypt build, for example. But that's pretty much the Eldritch Battery part. But the spells part, like, you see what happens when they actually buff a spell to do good damage, like Arc. Like it's just so much better, like, as opposed to any other spell. They just need to buff like some of the spells, the damage.
Really? Because I feel like
people start using them again.
Even Fireball was like ridiculous when it got buffed.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the increasing the spell buffs is only going to make him more abused and cast on crit. It's like COC is always going to like. I hate the fact that COC is like the way to cast spells. It's like
or totems. Oh, I want self-casting.
Yeah, I mean, not so much. I mean, totems are annoying. They have a really big drawback. But I mean, I feel like COC, the amount that their abilities cost and the damage output is just. You're like, why be a self-caster when you can go COC? It's just like, I don't know. It kind of ruins the flavor. So
the reflect damage, like if you're crit based and you reflect yourself, not have it do like the full crit damage, but a small portion of it. Maybe that would fix the self-cast issue.
But then that buffs cast on crit too, unless it's specific to self-casting.
Exactly.
All right. Next question is asked by Thurston. This is also our last question. At all, what is your end of league routine in regards to currency and items? Do you target any uniques that you think will go legacy? Ooh, that's a good question.
Yes. If I had a lot of currency, more than a handful, I would definitely buy the most popular ones that are in standard, the easy sellers, COE, It's Siri gloves. I would definitely, if you're on ambush or invasion and you have the currency to buy it, I think those gloves will just go up and up in price, especially if they do get nerfed. And what I would do is, break down your exalts into chaos, break them into the better rates that are on standard. Like if you're on ambush, I don't know if you know, but GCPs are like 8-1 exalts, 12-1 regrets. Like they're ridiculously, like insanely different rates. And if you take advantage of this, you can make like 60%, 50% profits. So it pays to pay attention to trends and the rates.
I read that today about Mjolnir. I was like, oh, it's only 30 exalts, 40 exalts. And I was looking at invasion, then I look in ambush, and it's 70. So you just buy a bunch in invasion, rip a level 1, and there you go if you want to make some money in standard. Things like that.
What do you guys think? What do you guys do at the end of the leagues?
For me, playing on standard, I might like check out some uniques that are on ambush. Like I traded for 2 drill necks. Aside from that, though, I wasn't really interested in like too many items. I looked at a Wind Ripper, but for the most part, like a lot of the prices are really close right now to standard, just because the leagues are getting close to ending.
That makes sense, I don't know. At the end of the league, I never really have that much currency to go crazy on buying stuff, but this is the first time I do. I'll probably buy a legacy or 2. That's just me.
Yeah, I personally don't really care because I'm not planning on playing hardcore or standard. So, I just let the currency that I have sit, and, if I ever want to use it, then I'll just use it.
Makes sense. All right. So, in closing, would you guys have anything you want to say before we head out on this?
I just want to say thank you guys for showing up, even on Father's Day. Thank you, fathers out there, for letting your sons and daughters or whatever watch this podcast. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's always a blast doing these things. And yeah, what do you guys have to say?
Just thanks a lot, everybody, for showing up. That without your guys' support, we wouldn't be able to do this. It really does mean a lot, and it's so much fun being able to come on here and talk about Path of Exile.
Pulp, what do you got to say?
Yeah.
You got to say something, man. You're the champ. No.
Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for having me on the podcast. It was fun.
No,
I really
anytime.
like the game that we did. Should definitely keep that up on a weekly basis.
It's like kind of
The
nice.
viewers really liked it as well.
I'm like an ADD kid. Sometimes I just want to let loose, and that was good.
Awesome.
All right.
Also, it's Sunday, right? Game of Thrones hype, guys.
Oh yeah, Game of Thrones.
So season finale. So guys, thank you again for tuning in. Thanks a lot, Grinding Gear Games, putting us on the news page, watching this, and taking what we say to heart. It means a lot to us that a company gives so much of a damn about the community. I really do appreciate it, and I'm sure everybody else does. Twitch again, thank you guys for your continued support. We love the fact that we can stream this on Twitch. It means a lot to us. The viewers, you guys are awesome for tuning in, and of course the mods for when need be. And again, Mima, thank you for the overlay. Hang tight, guys. This concludes the podcast, episode 8. Next week, in 2 weeks from now, we're going to have Baker. Baker Live, I believe is his Twitch name, correct?
Yes.
Baker Live.
Yeah, Baker and Gangsta Boo.
Gangsta Boo. So those two will be on for episode 9. Thanks again for tuning in, and hang out for those microtransaction packs that we promised. We're going to give away 2 as soon as I bring back up the stream. I appreciate it.